From Eldridge Stadium in Elmira, New York, the stars of NASCAR versus the stars of IMSA in a celebrity softball game.
I'll pick the players for the IMSA team tonight. First of all, those who will not be in the starting lineup. There are 16 players altogether. One is the driver of the number 99 Toyota Eagle, the 1992 Camel GP champion from Miami, Florida, Juan Manuel Fangio II. Driver of the Rush Racing Ford Mustang from La Cañada, California, Tommy Kendall. The driver of the Caroline Oldsmobile from Grand Rapids, Michigan, Brian DeVries. And this camel, Patrice McBride. All your starting lineup and batting order for the IMSA team. Leading on, playing shortstop, the driver of the Contact Accurate, two-time Camel Lake champion from Redmond, Oregon, Parker Johnstone. Batting second and pitching, the driver of the TGI Friday Chevrolet from Dallas, Pennsylvania, Ken Wallace. Batting the third position, playing first base, the driver of the Motorola Cellular Accurate Spice from Purcellville, Virginia, Bob Earl. In the cleanup spot, playing left center, the driver of the NASCAR, rather the Nissan 300 again, so picking South Carolina, Shawn Hendricks. Batting out number 5 position, playing second base, driver of the number 3, already Oldsmobile Compass from Lansing, Michigan, Paul Gentilozzi. Batting 6, playing right center, the driver of the number 98, Toyota Eagle from Rolling Hills, California, B.J. Jones. Batting 7th, playing third base, driving a Nissan 300ZX from Chandler, Arizona, Johnny O'Connell. Batting 8th, playing left field, the driver of the Belray Oil Mines, the Kudzu from Vail, Colorado, Tim McCown. Batting 9th, playing right field, the driver of the number 5, Olivetti Oldsmobile Compass from Monte Sereno, California, Darren Brasdale. Batting 10th and catching, driver of the Momo Nissan from Pagam, England, Derek Bell. Running out the batting order is Derek Bell's co-driver in the Momo Nissan. He's a designated hitter from West Palm Beach, Florida, John Paul Jr. Ladies and gentlemen, the IMSA Camel GP. The home team for tonight's game represents the NASCAR Busch Series Grand National Division. Once again, as I call their names, they will line up along the third base line. The head coach of the NASCAR team is an inspector on the NASCAR Busch Series from Hickory, North Carolina, Steve King. The NASCAR team also has 3 assistant coaches. I couldn't get the president up here, but they've done pretty well nonetheless. First, the director of the Busch Series for NASCAR, Ray Hill. Well, they've got 2 assistant coaches. One of them is the director of public relations for NASCAR, Andy Hall. And also the Busch Series editor for Trackside Magazine, Dennis Buck. There are the numbers of the NASCAR team, and again, we will introduce those who are not in the starting lineup first. We're number 1 tonight, driver of the Lexus Ford from Lost Creek, West Virginia, Rodney Combs. Driver of the Polaroid Chevrolet from Des Moines, Iowa, Shawna Robinson. The driver of the Detroit Gaston Oldsmobile from Mount Pleasant, Michigan, Tracy Leslie. The driver of the Dempine Chevrolet, the defending champion of the NASCAR Busch Series from Lakeland, Florida, Johnny Nemechek. And the driver of the Auto Palace Oldsmobile from Scarborough, Maine, Joe Messi. Now the starting lineup for the NASCAR Busch Series team. The leading off is playing second base, the driver of the Hermie Sadler of South Watkins, Virginia, Ward Burton. Batting second and pitching, driver of the NASCAR Pontiac from Portland, Oregon, Chuck Brown. Batting third, playing shortstop, the driver of Virginia is for Watkins Oldsmobile from Emporia, Virginia, Hermie Sadler. The cleanup hitter will be the designated hitter for the NASCAR team, the driver of the Alliance Tractor Trailer Training Center Chevrolet from Asheville, North Carolina, Robert Pressley. Batting fifth, and playing right field, the driver of the High Point Betting Jewish from Boulevard, Arkansas, Richard Lassiter. Batting sixth, and playing right center, the driver of the Race Scan Ford from Holt, Michigan, Tim Fedowa. Batting seventh, and playing left center from Newburgh, Maine, the driver of the DuPont Auto Finisher Chevrolet, Rich Freda. Batting eighth, and playing left field, the driver of the Baby Ruth Ford from South Boston, Virginia, Jeff Burton. Batting ninth, and playing first base, driver of the FDP Race Oldsmobile from St. Louis, Missouri, Mike Wallace. At third base, the driver of the Channellock Tool Chevrolet from Gadsden, Alabama, Steve Grissom. And starting at catcher, the driver of the Fiddle Battle Chevrolet from Shawna, New York, Todd Bodine. Ladies and gentlemen, the NASCAR Busch Series team. By Chemung County Zone, checkered flag 4.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare along the stinging air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
First batter, Parker Johnstone. He bats from the right side. Frank Gush calls strike one. Parker Johnstone, two-time defending Camel Lights champion on the Camel GT circuit. And he takes a big rip and gets a lot of air. 0-2 the count on Parker Johnstone. Chuck Brown on the mound, of course, the 1990 Busch Series champion. He wears the number 63, just like his Nescafe Nestea Pontiac. Parker Johnstone lines one into short center. It will drop for a base hit. Parker Johnstone on first with a leadoff single. That will bring up Ken Wallace. This is Dallas, Pennsylvania's Ken Wallace, and he's kind of on loan to the IMSA team as he has been competing in the Busch North Series this year, but he is a regular competitor with IMSA as well in the Supercar Series, and he'll put one through the hole between short and third for another single. Parker Johnstone going for third. The throw is cut off, and Ken Wallace will go to second. IMSA with runners on second and third. Nobody out for Bob Earl. Bob Earl, former winner of the 12 Hours of Sebring, as a member of the Nissan team, driving for the Bricks Racing Acura team in the Camel Light division this year, and wearing his car's number 7 on his back. He strokes it into center field. Parker Johnstone will come home. Ken Wallace will hold up at third base. Bob Earl holds at first with a single. 3 straight hits for the IMSA team bring home 1 run in the top of the first. That will bring up IMSA's cleanup hitter, Shawn Hendricks. Shawn Hendricks, a South Carolinian, but he's an IMSA driver. Favorite in the Firehawk Endurance Series in the past, now racing in the Supercar Series. He's a right-hand batter, and he will pop one out to second base. It will drop behind second. Nobody's covering the bag at second. Bob Burrell will get in safely. Another run scores as Ken Wallace comes across the plate, and Shawn Hendricks is on at first base. The IMSA team hitting them where they ain't. Here in the top of the first, they've got 2 runs on the board, and no one yet retired as P.J. Jones, I beg your pardon, Paul Gentilozzi steps to the plate. No, P.J. Jones didn't grow a beard that quickly. Paul Gentilozzi is both the owner and the lead driver for the Rocket Sports Oldsmobile team. Before his road racing career, he was a prominent drag racer. He pops one up behind the plate. Todd Bodine chases, but he can't catch it. 0-1 the count on Paul Gentilozzi. His teammate Darren Brassfield also in the lineup, both for the Camel Continental this weekend and for tonight's softball game. Hard rip, foul down the left field line. Paul Gentilozzi, almost said got good wood on it, got good aluminum on it, but it was foul down the left field line. The count now 0-2 to Paul Gentilozzi. Liner to shortstop, it goes through for a base hit, and it gets through in the outfield. Here comes Bob Earl in to score. Here comes Shawn Hendricks to the plate. Here's the throw. Good throw. Todd Bodine drops the ball after a collision with Shawn Hendricks. The run scores. Todd Bodine has gotten in a few collisions in his career, but not a whole lot harder than Shawn Hendricks coming down the line from third. Gentilozzi now on third base. The score 4-0 IMSA. No outs yet in the top of the first inning. Here's P.J. Jones to the plate. P.J. strokes it to third, and it goes through Steve Grissom. Paul Gentilozzi crosses the plate. Score goes now to 5-0. P.J. on at first. And like any good Californian, P.J. wearing the shades. P.J. Jones, of course, made his NASCAR Winston Cup debut just a few weeks ago. And there's a good rip by Tim McAdam. It'll go through all the way to the wall. P.J. Jones turning on the speed around third, wave at the arbs. Here's the throw to the plate. The throw's a little bit wide. Inside the park for Johnny O'Connell. Johnny Red O'Connell cleaning up the bases. The score goes to 7-0. And remember, last year's game was a defensive struggle with NASCAR winning by the score of 5-4. We got a conference at the mound here as Ward Burton, Todd Bodine, and Chuck Bound get together, and I don't think they were talking about chassis setup for the Phase 150. Johnny O'Connell with an inside the park job. That'll bring up Tim McAdam. Tim McAdam lofts it into right center. And finally, the first out of the first inning registered by Tim Fedowa out in right center field. Darren Brassfield with a slight variation on the California look. He tops it back to shortstop, and it's booted at short. Darren Brassfield safe at first base. Hermie Sadler charged the ball, had it run up his arm. Brassfield is safe at first, and Derek Bell steps to the plate. This is the American national pastime. However, Derek Bell, starting his 100th Camel GT race, should know a bit about the American pastime. It's called a strike, as a matter of fact. The bench telling Derek to wait on the ball. I'm not sure. And he tops it out in front of home plate. Derek Bell down the first baseline. Todd Bodine gets it to the bag in time. Derek Bell with what may have been a head-first slide or may have tripped over the bag. In any event, he's out at first. 2 down, runner at second. IMSA leading 7-0 in the top of the first. And we're down to John Paul Jr., the DH, batting 11th and last in the orders. We have 11-man batting orders for this game tonight. 10 players on the field plus a DH. John Paul Jr. pops one up. Todd Bodine with the grab. Todd Bodine grabbing a little pop in front of the plate. So after a rocky start, 3 of the last 4 batters retired. After a 1/2 inning, the score IMSA 7, NASCAR Busch Series coming to bat. First pitch from Ken Wallace. Ward Burton has a good look. Ward Burton, one of the hottest drivers on the Busch Series this year. And that one is over for a strike. And Ward will line it into short left. No, it only goes to shortstop, where PJ flips down the shades. Well, actually had the shades down all the time. PJ picks it off, 1 away. In the bottom of the first, Chuck Bound coming to the plate. Chuck Bound, the driver of the Nescafe Nesty Pontiac. Looking for a win on the mound, also looking for a win in the Busch Series. He was the 1990 Series champion, currently trying to get rid of a long, long losing streak. And he'll top it to third base. Johnny O'Connell throws on to first, 2 up, 2 down. And Johnny O'Connell showing a serious arm. Hermie Sadler will step in now. Hermie Sadler, the current leader in the Penrose Rookie Challenge in the Busch Series. He drives the Virginia Is for Lovers Oldsmobile. And he hits a sky-high fly ball to short left field. It will drop just behind P.J. Jones. Hermie will try for second base. And as the softball becomes a hot potato, Hermie will slide in. Hermie Sadler on second with 2 out. The big man from Asheville, Robert Pressley, comes to the plate. The driver of the Alliance Training Center's Oldsmobile, already a winner this season at Darlington. Robert, a member of one of the premier racing families from Western North Carolina. And he takes a big cut and misses. Robert Pressley has a rather unique distinction. He won the NASCAR Winston Racing Series Regional Championship one year, went Busch Racing, and his father won the same title the next year. Over for a called strike. Robert Pressley and Frank Gush having a minor discussion about the merits of the strike zone. 2 strikes to count on Robert Pressley. And he sends one deep to left. And it's an easy catch out in left field for Tim McAdam. That will retire the NASCAR Busch Series team in the bottom of the first with 1 inning complete. IMSA 7, Busch Series nothing. Who we got in here, Parker? Top of the order in the top of the second, Parker Johnstone. Parker takes a ball and takes a strike. 1-1 the count on Parker Johnstone. The first 7 batters for IMSA cross the plate in the top of the first. This time, Parker lines to short. Hermie Sadler has it, loops the throw over to first base, and distinctly better start to the top of the second inning for the NASCAR team as Parker Johnstone grounds out short to first. Ken Wallace back to the plate. And we stress that Ken Wallace of Dallas, PA, no relation to Kenny Wallace of St. Louis, Missouri, and therefore no relation to Mike Wallace or Rusty Wallace either. Ken Wallace grounds to third, but he'll beat it out. A slow roller to third. Good throw by Steve Grissom to first, but Ken Wallace was there a stride ahead of the throw. He'll get an infield single with 1 out in the top of the second, and Bob Earl back to the plate. Bob Earl, early in his career, a star in open wheel cars. Later on, he's turned to the closed wheel variety. He grounds back to Chuck Bound on the mound. Bound alertly tosses to Ward Burton at second for the forced play. Ken Wallace retired at second. Bob Earl on at first in the fielder's choice. And that'll bring up once again Shawn Hendricks. Shawn Hendricks, who got a big piece of the ball the first time around. Earl at first, 2 out. Score 7-0 IMSA in the top of the second. 1-1 the count now on Shawn Hendricks. Takes another ball, 2-1, the big Shawn Hendricks. And this was lined hard to Hermie Sadler at short. He stops it, but then it trickles away. Bob Earl will move down to second, and Shawn Hendricks will be on at first base. Paul Gentilozzi digs in at the plate. As we mentioned, Paul, both the owner and the lead driver for the Rocket Sports Oldsmobile team. When he's not busy with his own IMSA Exxon GTS Series team, he occasionally picks up a ride in the Trans Am Series as well. Hopper to short, good play by Hermie Sadler. Over to Ward Burton at second for the force, and IMSA is retired scoreless in the top of the second with 1.5 innings on the board. As Barney Hall might say, score IMSA 7, Busch Series nothing. Richard Lassiter showed a lot of power in this game last year. He reaches for a high pitch, bounces it to short. Parker Johnstone up. Throw to first is just a little wide, pulls Bob Earl off the bag. And NASCAR may have something going here as Richard Lassiter is on first base to lead off the bottom of the second. Tim Fedowa steps to the plate. Tim Fedowa, one of the Penrose Rookie Challengers of the Busch Series this year. Member of a distinguished Michigan racing family. He takes a big rip and just nicks it. Strike one to Tim Fedowa. Ken Wallace on the mound for IMSA. Tim Fedowa lofts a soft fly into foul territory over by the dugout. Ken Wallace can't chase it down. Count will be 0-2 to Tim Fedowa. NASCAR batting in the bottom of the second. After a big top of the first by IMSA, NASCAR needs to get back into this ballgame in a hurry. And Fedowa will just top it out in front of the plate. Wallace slides, grabs the ball, throws to first, but throws it away into right field. Richard Lassiter steaming around third base. He will score. Ken Wallace playing aggressive baseball, maybe a little too aggressive that time, as he went to the dirt trying to pick up the ball and make the throw. As a result, the throw went into right field, and Richard Lassiter was able to come around and score, put NASCAR on the board. Meanwhile, Tim Fedowa winds up at second base, and stepping to the plate, your 1992 Busch Series Rookie of the Year, Ricky Craven. Ricky takes the ball high. Ricky Craven also the 1991 Busch North Series champion. He pops it up to shortstop. P.J. Jones settles under it. He'll put it away for the first out in the bottom of the second. Here is the younger but taller of the Burton brothers, Jeff Burton. Jeff just scored his first Busch Series win of the season down at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina a couple of weeks ago. He'll pop one up in the general direction of shortstop, but it'll be a little too deep for P.J. Jones. It'll land in short left field for a base hit. Tim Fedowa bluffs towards third. The throw is into Johnny O'Connell, and Fedowa will hold at second. On first with the base hit, Jeff Burton. That will bring to the plate first baseman Mike Wallace. Mike Wallace, the middle brother of the Wallace clan from St. Louis. Mike stayed home and took care of business while Rusty was winning a Winston Cup and Kenny was challenging for the Busch Series title. After winning a Winston Racing Series regional championship, he came south as well. Very nearly came up with his first Busch Series win at Martinsville last fall. Still looking for win number 1 in his FTP Brakes Oldsmobile. Mike Wallace tips it back to the backstop. Derek Bill comes up with it and no place to throw it. Hard liner to left field by Mike Wallace. That'll bring home Tim Fedowa with the second run. Jeff Burton will go into third, and pulling into second, Mike Wallace. Mike Wallace calls time, goes back, gets his hat. Mike Wallace got all of that one, drove it hard and straight into left field. Bringing home run number 2, Jeff Burton on third, Wallace on second, big Steve Grissom at the plate. Bouncer to second by Steve Grissom. Throw to first, goes off the glove of Bob Earl. 1 run scores. Here comes Mike Wallace in to score. Steve Grissom with a bouncer to shortstop, winds up on first base, and more importantly, winds up bringing in 2 runs for the Busch Series team. The score now reads IMSA 7, Busch Series 4, Todd Bodine at the plate. Todd takes ball 1. Here's the second pitch from Ken Wallace, and it's high for ball 2. Just a number back to the mound. Ken Wallace will throw onto first base. Bob Earl has the ball pop out of his glove. Todd Bodine will be safe at first, and moving over to third, Steve Grissom. Of course, Todd moved out of the Valley a little bit early in life, but that was the same sort of power hitting that made brother Brett famous in the Waverly Babe Ruth League. Swing and a miss by Ward Burton. 1 strike. NASCAR Busch Series team getting back in the game here in the second inning, as they've got 4 runs on the board, runners at first and third with 1 out. And there's a drive in to left center field. That'll bring Steve Grissom home. Todd Bodine goes into second base, and on at first with a base hit, Ward Burton, bringing up pitcher Chuck Bound. Dennis Punch on the coaching lines at third for the NASCAR team. Ray Hill over at first. That's probably appropriate because in the Busch Series, you never get to first base unless Ray Hill is on your side. Drive into short right, out behind second base. Gentilozzi can't pick it up. Todd Bodine held up at third by Coach Dennis Punch. Bases loaded for Hermie Sadler. 7-5 the score. Hermie can put the Busch Series team ahead with 1 swing of the bat. Remember, only 1 out here in the bottom of the second. 1 swing of the bat by Hermie Sadler, drives it deep to center field, just in front of the fence. That should clear the bases. Hermie rounding second. Here comes Ward Burton home. Here comes Chuck Bound home on a bum ankle. Hermie Sadler pulls in at third. He's cleaned up the bases and put the NASCAR Busch Series ahead, 8-7. Throw gets through. Ken Wallace will back it up, but Robert Pressley will go down to second base. It was a big first inning for the IMSA team, a big second inning now for the NASCAR Busch Series team, putting the Busch Series Stars ahead 9-7 with still only 1 out. Robert Pressley on second, and Richard Lassiter at the plate. Lassiter will drive it straight through the middle. That'll send Pressley to third. He'll be waved home. Lassiter will beat the throw into second base. It didn't go far, but it'll go as a double, and it'll put the NASCAR Stars up now 10-7. Still only 1 out, with Tim Fedowa being the 12th man to bat in this inning. Little tip that gets by Derek Bell. 0-1 the count on Tim Fedowa. Fedowa watches that one. Derek catches it barehanded. It's ball 1. 1-1 the count with 1 out. Tim Fedowa at the plate. Richard Lassiter on second. This one will be out to shortstop. Parker Johnstone will pick it up. And the throw will pull Earl off the bag at first. Richard Lassiter sees the opportunity and scampers across home plate with run number 11. That's like looking for the hole in the middle groove on the restart. As the first baseman wasn't looking at home plate, and Lassiter was able to scamper home. It's 11-7, and Ricky Craven steps in. Craven drives it to shortstop. Hermie Sadler underhands to Gentilozzi, or rather we should say Parker Johnstone underhands to Gentilozzi at second for out number 2. The relay to first not in time. 2 down, Ricky Craven at first. Already it's time once again for Jeff Burton to step in. 11 runs for the NASCAR Busch Series so far in the second inning. 2 down now as Jeff Burton levels the swing. Ken Wallace delivers. Line drive just past Johnstone at short. That'll put Craven on second. Nice grab by Paul Gentilozzi of the throw back to the infield. Craven's now at second, Burton at first, and Mike Wallace, who wielded the heavy lumber the first time, up for another try with 2 men on base. And he smashes it a long way, but foul in the stands down the first base line. 0-1 the count to Mike Wallace. Time called. That was no pitch. Mike Wallace hit it anyway, about twice as far as the last one. Foul down the left field line. Your attention, please, fans down the left field line. We need the balls returned to the playing field. Fans, please return the balls to the playing field. Sounds like some driver introductions that we hear sometimes, a mixed reaction. Count 0-2, about 400 feet worth of 0-2 on Mike Wallace. And this time he bounces it to shortstop. Parker Johnstone underhands it to second, but it's late at second. Duke Sechrist says no. Jeff Burton was in there ahead of the throw. They're loaded up again, this time for Steve Grissom. Steve Grissom, a one-time college football prospect as a high school player in Gadsden, Alabama. And he'll tap it to third. Johnny O'Connell up with it. Throw is on to first. Out call at first base. Bob Earl had to dig for that one, but he came up for it. And that will end the bottom of the second inning for the NASCAR Busch Series. But a big inning it was, 11 runs. And that puts NASCAR up a score of 11-7 with 2 innings in the books.
That second inning I didn't think was ever going to end. Here's P.J. Jones to lead things off for the IMSA team. Substitutions for NASCAR. Defending champion Joe Nemechek, the catcher. Jones with a grounder to short. Throw by Hermie Sadler over to first. Out the call. And quickly we have 1 down. Joe Nemechek catching. Joe Bessie is in for Steve Grissom at third base. Tracy Leslie is in for Richard Lassiter in right field. And the batter is Johnny O'Connell. Nissan driver with a cut at a high pitch, pops it up towards Sadler at short. Hermie's under it, makes the grab, and quickly there are 2 down. So after a very rough start for pitcher Chuck Bound, things have settled down in the second and third innings. Here's Tim McAdam. Takes a pitch, he'll take a good cut, fly ball deep left field. Jeff Burton starts in, fades back, it'll drop in over his head. It rolls all the way back to the fence. Here's the throw, McAdam is around third, gonna try and make it an inside the park home run, and he will do it. As the throw in from the relay tried to come up here to the press box. So run number 8 for the IMSA team is on the board. Tim McAdam clears the bases himself, and that'll make it 11-8. with 2 outs in the top half of the 3rd inning. This is Darren Brassfield. Brassfield doubled in his first at-bat in the 1st inning. Pitch from Chuck Bound, grounded towards the shortstop. Sadler has trouble coming up with that one, and Brassfield will be on at first base. Batter is Derek Bell, the catcher. Derek, you ever played this game before? I take that to be a no. Here's the pitch from Chuck Bound, grounded towards the 3rd baseman, Joe Bessie, over to 2nd, and the force out will retire the side. So 1 run on 1 hit and 1 error, and in the middle of the 3rd inning, it's NASCAR 11 and the IMSA drivers 8. The IMSA team trying to protect Ken Wallace, having had kind of a rough 2nd inning. They stopped counting pitches up here. They ran out of pencils to keep track of them. And leading off for the NASCAR Busch Series team, just into the game in the bottom half of the last inning, is Joe Nemechek from Lakeland, Florida, driver of the Dentine Chevrolet, the defending series champion. Here is the first pitch from Ken Wallace. It will bounce once for a strike. 0-1 the count. That's why he's the umpire. The 0-1 pitch. Swung at, tagged towards right field, over the 2nd baseman's head. Nemechek is on with a single. He'll go for 2. He runs, he slides, he's safe. Just getting in under the tag of Bob Earl. We'll score that a double for Joe Nemechek to lead off the 3rd inning for the NASCAR Busch Series drivers. And we go back to the top of the order with Ward Burton, driver of the Hardee's Buick. 2 wins, 3 pole positions already this season. Hoping to have as good an average at the plate tonight. First pitch is a ball, a little bit short, 1-0 to Ward. 3-run lead for the NASCAR team. No outs. Top half, or bottom half rather, of inning number 3. Second pitch from Ken Wallace, inside, 2-0. Here is the 2-0 pitch. Ward takes a cut deep to left center field, running under it with a diving, running, leaping catch. And a fantastic play. Joe Nemechek off the base at 2nd. He's doubled up. Great play. Quickly 2 outs for the IMSA team. Running catch by Tim McAdam and a heads-up play into 2nd base. Doubles off Joe Nemechek. Here's Chuck Bound. The NASCAR pitcher grounds it back to Wallace on the mound, over to Gentilozzi, and the side is retired with no further damage done in the bottom half of inning 3. And the leadoff batter will be the designated hitter for the IMSA team, a title he takes with a certain grain of salt. John Paul Jr. from West Palm Beach, Florida. Doubled. Is that double? Doubled. No, flied out. All right, never mind. Rodney Combs, right-handed pitcher, in, giving the IMSA driver something a little different to look at as we start off the 4th inning. Paul looks at a ball inside, 1-0. Here is the second pitch, struck out towards left center field. It will fall in front of Ricky Craven, and John Paul leads off the IMSA half of inning number 4 with a single. Now we come back around to the top of the order. Parker Johnstone, the Acura driver, with 5 wins in 6 races so far this season. At the plate, first pitch from Rodney Combs inside for ball 1. 3-run deficit for the IMSA drivers to make up. The 1-0 pitch is a little deep. It's 2-0. Rodney Combs brings one in a little bit less arc this time, grounded towards short. Sadler has a little trouble coming up with it, and all will be safe around. So send John Paul down to 2nd, and Parker Johnstone is on at 1st. And the pitcher is the batter, Ken Wallace of Dallas, Pennsylvania. Pops one up towards shallow shortstop. Hermie Sadler is there. I believe the infield fly rule called on that by the umpire. And so that'll put the first out up on the IMSA side of the slate. And Bob Earl will come to the plate. Left-handed hitter takes his first pitch from Rodney Combs. Hit right back up the middle. Will go through into the outfield. John Paul heads around third, coming towards the plate. Parker Johnstone towards third base. The throw comes past the catcher Nemechek as John Paul and Nemechek get tangled up. And John Paul will score the 9th run for the IMSA team. Parker Johnstone advances to third. Bob Earl on to second. And with runners on second and third, there is one out. And Shawn the Hammer Hendricks at the plate. Sounds like a name for a wrestler. First pitch, ball 1. 1-0. Now the deficit 2 runs for the IMSA team. Hendricks tips the second pitch, foul behind the plate. It'll be 1-1. 1 out. Top half of inning number 4, runners on second and third. Rodney Combs throws pitch number 3 inside. It'll be 2-1. To Shawn Hendricks, the cleanup hitter for the IMSA team. Pitch across the center of the plate, hit to Shawna Robinson at second. The throw to first to Joe Bessie. They'll make the play on Hendricks, but 1 run will score as Parker Johnstone crosses the plate to make it 11-10. And Bob Earl moves over to third base. So the sacrifice scores a run. Runner now on third base, and here's Paul Gentilozzi to the plate. Hit into a fielder's choice last time at bat. The pitch from Rodney Combs hit hard into left center field. Bob Earl will score. The pitch scooped up by Ricky Havens out on the field. The throw in gets through the infield, and Gentilozzi will wind up on second base. So tie the ball game. The IMSA drivers have come back, and it's 11-all in the top half of the 4th inning. Here's Toyota driver P.J. Jones at the plate. His 3rd trip in the game. Hit a grounder to second last time up. First pitch is deep, ball 1. 1-0 the count, runner at second, 2 outs. Ball popped up towards shallow left field. The shortstop goes back, tries to barehand it, it gets through. Gentilozzi is going to score. And P.J. Jones will end up at first base, so put IMSA back in the lead. 12-11 is the score. And almost a case of batting out of order for the IMSA team, but they catch that. Johnny O'Connell, the left fielder, or make that the third baseman, will come up to bat. 1-0 pitch, grounded towards short. Hard hop off Hermie Sadler. It'll get on base. Here's P.J. Jones around from first to third, and now he'll try to go home, and he will score without challenge. 13-11. Another run in for the IMSA team on the infield ball by Johnny O'Connell. And now the batter, Tim McAdam, the left fielder, who made that great running catch in the last inning for the IMSA team. The pitch from Rodney Combs popped up towards deep center field. Ricky Craven over, makes the grab for the 3rd out to retire the side. But quite an inning for the IMSA team. They come back from an 11-7 deficit, 6 runs, and now lead 13-11 in the middle of the 4th inning. Bottom of the 4th inning, 2 runs down. The NASCAR Busch Series drivers, and Hermie Sadler, the shortstop, will lead off the inning. He'll take the pitch from Ken Wallace. It'll be inside, ball 1. Sadler with a monster hit in his last at bat. The 1-0 pitch will be across for a strike. It's 1-1. 6-run 4th inning for the IMSA team has brought them back into the lead. Here's the 1-1 pitch, ball 2. 2-1 the count for Hermie Sadler, the leadoff hitter in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Driver of the Virginia is for Lovers Oldsmobile. Ground ball through between short and third. And Sadler will be on with a leadoff single for the NASCAR Busch Series team. So a runner on first, nobody out, and Robert Pressley will be the batter. Robert, the designated hitter, the 4th batter in the NASCAR Busch Series team order. Reached on an error his last at bat. There's a high fly ball to shallow left field. In under it and making the catch is Tim McAdam. And that is out number 1. The runner will hold at first base. And that'll bring up the right fielder, Tracy Leslie, driver of the Detroit Gasket Chevrolet. Leslie's first at-bat for the game. Foul tip for strike 1. 0-1 for Tracy Leslie. On deck, Tim Fidoa. The 0-1 pitch will be outside. It'll be ball 1. So Ken Wallace trying to protect a slim 2-run lead here in the bottom of the 4th. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Hit towards the middle. It bounces off Wallace. He'll pick it up, throw over to first. He'll retire Tracy Leslie on the fielder's choice. And the runner Sadler advances to second. So 2 outs. In the bottom half of the 4th, runner on second, Tim Fidoa from Holt, Michigan is the batter. And he will look at pitch number 1 from Ken Wallace. Hit towards the middle. It'll go up the middle into the outfield. Base hit for Fidoa. Here's Hermie Sadler around third into the plate. He will score. Fidoa will slide into second. Send Bob Earl for a tumble. And the NASCAR team is drawn within 1 run on Tim Fidoa's base hit to center field. It's 13-12. Still 2 outs. Ricky Craven, driver of the DuPont Chevrolet, is the batter. Craven, in his last at-bat, got as far as third on a fielder's choice before the inning came to an end. Tying run on second base, 2 outs, and the pitch from Ken Wallace to Craven will be outside, ball 1. 1-0 the count. Ricky, the New Hampshire native, now living down in North Carolina. Hits a line drive off the pitcher's glove. Wallace, Bob Earl picks it up, throws over to first in time. And the side is retired as Craven is put out. I guess we'll call that 1-4-3. And the score will be 13-12 IMSA as we head to the top of the 5th. Leading off the top half of the 5th of the IMSA team, Brian DeVries from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Grounder to Ward Burton at third. Throw over to first to Joe Bessie in time. And 1 down quickly. In the IMSA side of the 5th inning, Todd Bodine back in the game at catcher for the NASCAR team. And the next batter is the IMSA Camel GT Series champion, now living in Miami, Florida, Juan Manuel Fangio. Winner 2 years in a row of the Camel Continental here at Watkins Glen. A swing and a miss for strike 1. Fangio's first at-bat in this game. Rodney Combs still the pitcher for the NASCAR Busch Series team. Fangio chops one back to the mound. Combs will throw over to Joe Bessie, and quickly they'll be 2 down in the IMSA half of inning number 5. 2 up, 2 down. And the batter will be the cleanup hitter. No, the bottom of the order hitter, the designated hitter. That's the word, designated, yeah. John Paul Jr. Taking the first pitch from Rodney Combs, grounding to shortstop, gets under Hermie Sadler, and Paul is going to be on base once again. So with 2 down, the IMSA team gets a runner on and brings up the leadoff hitter Parker Johnstone to try and get a little rally going, see if they can build on this lead they have. 1 run, 13-12 the score. Here's the pitch from Rodney Combs, strike 1 the call. Johnstone takes that one looking. 1-0, runner on first, 2 outs. Second pitch, hit line drive to Hermie Sadler at shortstop. He grabs it and the side is retired. No runs on no hits and 1 error. 13-12 IMSA the score heading to the bottom of the 5th. Jeff Burton, who drives the Baby Ruth Ford. Burton from South Boston, Virginia. Playing left field for the baseball team here tonight. Here's the pitch from Ken Wallace. Burton looks at a ball inside. It is 1-0. Shawna Robinson on deck for the Busch Series team. Here's the 1-0 pitch to Jeff Burton. He looks at strike 1. 1-1 the count. NASCAR team down by a run as we're in the 5th inning. They've only got 3 more shots at the plate to get this lead back. Burton lines one over Parker Johnstone's head at shortstop into left field. And the NASCAR team has its leadoff runner on in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Single for Jeff Burton. And with a 1-run lead, as they try and get ahead, the go-ahead run comes to the plate. Shawna Robinson, driver of the Polaroid car on the NASCAR Busch Series. Here's the pitch from Ken Wallace. Strike one called. 0-1 the count. Tying runs at first. The lead run is at the plate. There are no outs in the bottom of the 5th inning. 13-12 the score. Ken Wallace, still the pitcher for the IMSA team, throws the 0-1 pitch inside. Ball 1. Derek Bell still trying to decide what actually constitutes a ball and a strike in this game. 1-1 the count. Here's the pitch. Ball 2. Little high. 2-1. Don't think we've had anybody reach base on a walk yet in this game. Certainly hasn't been a no-hitter, though. Here's a grounder back to the pitcher at short. Wallace throws over to second. Not in time. Safe is the runner, Burton. Robinson in at first as well on the fielder's choice, and the winning run is on first base for the NASCAR team with no outs in inning number 5. Here is Joe Bessie, driver of the Auto Palace AC Delco entry. From Scarborough, Maine, deep to left field. The fly ball is hit. The outfielders come close to colliding, but don't. And the grab is made by Tim McAdam. Here's the throw in. Jeff Burton will tag from second to third. And the sacrifice will be the score for Joe Bessie, putting the tying run on at third base. Shawna stays at first. There's one out. Todd Bodine is the batter, driver of the Fiddle Faddle Chevrolet, the catcher for tonight's game. First pitch is high, ball 1. Tying runs at third, one out. Winning runs at first. The 1-0 pitch is stubbed foul. Back behind the plate. I think Todd thought that was the pitch. 1-1 the count. Pitch from Ken Wallace is inside, a little bit high. 2-1. The 2-1 pitch is again high. It's 3-1, and now Wallace is in jeopardy of walking the first batter of the ball game. One out, first and third. The 3-1 pitch swung on and missed. Strike 2. And the National Hurricane Warning Center in Miami has just gone on alert. Full count, one out, runners at first and third. Here's the pitch. Strike 3 called. Todd Bodine goes down looking, and red-faced to boot. 2 outs. The tying run stranded at third. It's up to Ward Burton, driver of the Hardee's Buick, the leadoff hitter. Playing third base now. The first pitch inside, ball 1. You know what the toughest thing about that is, Todd? You'll never hear the end of that all year. Grounder towards third base, stopped by, but not quite, by the third baseman, Johnny O'Connell, and so Ward Burton will get on. The run will score. His brother Jeff ties the ball game at 13. Shawna Robinson advances to second. Now there are runners on first and second. Ward Burton on first, Shawna on second, and the pitcher Rodney Combs is now the batter, driver of the Luxair Ford for the NASCAR team. 13-all now the score. 2 outs. There's a grounder to Paul Gentilozzi at first. He knocks it down, but can't come up with a play. And the bases are loaded. Score that one a hit for the NASCAR team, so Combs is on at first. Move Ward Burton to second, Shawna to third, and now Hermie Sadler is the batter. Driver of the Virginia is for Lovers Oldsmobile from Emporia, Virginia. And Ken Wallace Let's rip with ball 1 inside for Sadler. 13 all the score, bottom of inning number 5. Robert Pressley on deck if Sadler can keep the rally alive. Bases loaded. Shot over the shortstop's head to left field, gets by Shawn Hendricks. 1 run scores. Here's the 2nd run. Here's Combs digging hard around 3rd. He'll score. A 3-run double for Hermie Sadler. And the NASCAR team goes up 16-13. A 2-out rally in the bottom of inning number 5. 4 runs across the plate, 3 on a double by Hermie Sadler. He ends up at 2nd. And now it is 16-13 with Robert Pressley the batter. Here's the pitch. He grounds one hard between 3rd and short. Base hit into the outfield. Hermie Sadler around 3rd base. He will score the 17th run for the NASCAR team. Pressley is on at first with a single. Those 2-out rallies will get you every time. Here's Tim Fedewa from Holt, Michigan. No idea. The first pitch from Ken Wallace popped high down the left field line. Going to be close to a fair or foul ball. But Tim McAdam moves under it, makes the grab for the 3rd out. But not before the NASCAR team scores a bunch of runs. 17-13, the end of the 6th inning.
Conditioning for number 1. That is, in fact, the car which Jeff Gordon drove last year as the Rex Road team purchased the hardware from Bill Davis Racing. Bill Davis Racing now in the Winston Cup Series with Bobby Labonte, and Rodney Combs getting a shot at the Busch Series in the car which Jeff Gordon drove last year. Well, you certainly wouldn't guess it. From looking at him, Rodney Combs has a son who's a pretty fair race driver as well, Rodney Jr., big winner in NASCAR Winston Racing Series action at the Concord Motor Speedway. Kenny Wallace goes down swinging. Wallace, first out of inning number 6 as he swings at strike 3. Draws a salutation from Mike Wallace down at first. Bob Earl will step in. Bob Earl wearing number 7 on his uniform. The bespectacled left-hand batter. And Earl strokes one out to shortstop. It will get by Ward Burton. Go into left field. Base runner at first with 1 out for IMSA. As Bob Earl down at the bag. IMSA Vice President Mark Raffoff coaching at first base. As Shawn, the Hammer, as Alan referred to him, Hendricks at the plate. Shawn Hendricks will pop one up right behind the plate. Todd Bodine waits for it to come down. Shawn Hendricks is retired. 2 down for IMSA in the top of the 6th. And Paul Gentilozzi will come to the plate. Yep. Gentilozzi bounces one to Ward Burton at short. Burton shovels it to second base to Shawna. The throw bobbled, the runner comes off the bag. Shawna grabs the ball, applies the tag, and that's the inning for IMSA. Out safe out at second base, but when all is said and done, the call is out. And at the end of 5.5 innings, NASCAR 17, IMSA 13. Ricky Craven will lead it off for the NASCAR Busch Series team in the bottom of inning number 6. Ricky Craven still looking for his initial victory since moving south. He does have 2 Busch Series wins to his credit when he was part of the North Series, and the 2 series ran together. Absolutely dominated the Busch North Series back in 1991, and then headed for the Southland, where he's been a consistent challenger, but yet to take the big checkered flag number 1. Thought he might have had it at Nazareth, Pennsylvania earlier this year, but in fact he had just got back on the lead lap. He lines it to third base. O'Connell knocks it down, throws to first, but the throw is just late, and Craven will be safe at first. Johnny O'Connell found it a little too hot to handle, knocked it down through to first, but Craven beat it out. Craven on first with none out. Jeff Burton coming to the plate. Jeff Burton choking up a little bit on the bat. And he'll ground it to shortstop. The throw is to second for the force play on Ricky Craven. There's no return throw to first base. And Jeff Burton safe on the fielder's choice. That'll bring up Shawna Robinson. Derek Bell engaging in none too subtle psychological warfare behind the plate. To quote another Englishman, discipline, Derek, discipline. First pitch is a ball to Shawna Robinson. Here's the 1-0 pitch. It's a swing and a miss, 1-1. One ball, one strike, one out. Bottom of the sixth. Jeff Burton at first, Shawna Robinson at the plate. Shawna will tap one back to the mound. Big hop. Wallace to second base. The throw is late. Burton will be safe at second, and Shawna will be on at first on the fielder's choice. Those Yankees are taking over. We've had two of them at the plate this inning. Ricky Craven from Newburgh, Maine. Here comes Joe Bessie from Scarborough, Maine, the driver of the Auto Palace. Busch Series entry, hard shot to third base. Johnny O'Connell will make the force at third. He'll throw to first. IMSA turns a double play. Paul Gentilozzi giving the umpire a little help down at first base. It's a double play to retire the NASCAR side in the bottom of the sixth inning. 6 innings complete. NASCAR 17, IMSA 13. Well, it's the top of the seventh now, and in response to the overwhelming vote of the fans here tonight, neither Alan Bestwick nor I will sing. This is the last chance for the IMSA team. They're down by 4 going the top of the seventh. They lost by 1 in a defensive struggle last year, 5-4. They're down 4 runs here in what's been a slugfest. Grounder to third base. Bessie? Yeah. Joe Bessie cannot come up with it. And P.J. Jones will be safe at first. NASCAR, or rather, IMSA has the leadoff runner on in the bottom of the top of the seventh inning. Their last shot at erasing that 4-run deficit. Johnny O'Connell, and you can tell why they call him Johnny Red, at the plate. O'Connell with a rocket arm at third base. He hits one on the bounce to second. Hermie flips to Shawna at second. They get the force at second. PJ will return to the dugout, 1 down. And Johnny O'Connell on base at first. Tim McAdam, who's done some great work out in left field and also had a round tripper earlier tonight, tries to keep it alive for IMSA. First pitch is outside. 1 out, runner on first, top of the seventh. IMSA trailing by 4 runs. They need to tie it up here, or we're done for the night. McAdam drives it to center field. Who was it? Ricky Craven right there to grab it, though. Ricky Craven in the right place at the right time. As they throw back to the infield, O'Connell will tag up and go to second. But IMSA is down to its last out. They trail by 4. Here in the top of the seventh. And as is usually the case at the playoffs and World Series, we have more cameramen on the field than we do players right at the moment. First pitch is swung on a miss.
You and our dad figured out. Chris, let's get the MVP. We're only another.
It's a drive into center field. Base hit. Coming around third and cruising in to score, Johnny O'Connell. Taking second on the throw, Brian DeVries. Score 17-14 now. Two down, and heavy responsibility on the shoulders of Derek Bell. But why not? Derek Bell plays for the San Diego Padres. I sincerely doubt that they are related. Derek is pointing his shot. Yes, He is pointing where it's going out of the park. He taps it out in front of the plate. The throw is to first base, and he's out of there. Ball game is over. NASCAR wins 17-14. We'd like to remind you fans to stick around for a little while. We'd also like to remind the teams to please remain at your dugouts, as we will have a most valuable player from each team, an MVP from each team, the game tonight. And of course, we will be presenting the winners' awards to the NASCAR Busch Series team, victorious for the second year in a row. Let's have a hand, though, for the IMSA team as they came through once again a hard-fought ball game. Let's have a hand for the IMSA team. And of course, for our winners for the second year in a row, the NASCAR Busch Grand National All-Stars.